Greetings, my name is Jay,
And I'm Ian.
and welcome to the Gamers Gaiden. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a little bit of gaming news. We're going to be talking about film adaptations of video games that we actually enjoyed, and game adaptations of a film that were better than the movie, in our opinion. And rounding it off with our last segment today, we will be talking about games that we loved as a kid that we don't necessarily like as much anymore. But let's start off by what have you been playing over the past week, Ian?
Uh, well, I will start off by saying I've been away this past week, and kind of disconnected, so I haven't had a lot of time to play as much as I was hoping. But
But I mean, you're on vacation, so
I was on
and you weren't
vacation.
on a staycation. You actually went somewhere.
Yeah, I actually went away, but there was a couple other people that went with me that brought Switches,
Nice.
so we did find some time to play some adventure mode in Diablo 3 together.
Cool, cool.
Which was that was really fun. Playing Diablo 3 on like a rooftop patio with the ocean, and yeah, it was the I guess the nerdiest thing we could find in that kind of setting. But that's mostly what I was playing. I did put a couple hours into Final Fantasy 9
Right.
for the Switch.
Okay, that's cool. How are you
Yeah,
enjoying that?
you know what? I'm really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a couple of features in there that let you like skip random battles,
Right.
just do like max damage, so you don't have to worry too much about the intricacies of the combat.
Oh, okay, yeah,
You
they
can
added
just
that
kind of
into
get
the newer releases of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can just kind of get the story.
So does that mean you're on disc 3 yet, or?
No, I'm probably only about 4 hours in. I'm just
Okay.
right before the hunt.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I beat that game so quickly. I really enjoyed it, but like I think I went over this in a previous episode, but like I got it for the Christmas of the it came out Christmas of launch of
yes.
PlayStation 2, and I got that game and I beat it like before the New Year's, and I got it on the 25th. So I beat it like in 3 or 4 days. So I don't actually remember all the little tiny details about the story and stuff like that. So
I haven't had quite that much time to spend with it, but
well, I was in high school and had
yeah.
nothing else to do, and I didn't really.
I'm
Well, I
working
had
on it
all.
though. I'm working on
Yeah,
it.
but cool. Well,
Um,
I'm looking forward to continuing to hear about the continued adventures in 9.
and I've played a little bit of Oxenfree.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we were talking about this before, and I thought I didn't know what you were talking about, and it turns out that I actually do. So how are you enjoying Oxenfree?
I am really enjoying. Like I said, I probably like 3-ish hours. Now I don't think it's
Okay.
incredibly long.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's like a 4 or 5 hour game apparently.
Yeah, so I think I'm fairly close to the end.
Mm-hmm.
But it has some really neat, what seem like horror elements to me.
Cool.
Like little creepy moments. Teenagers on an abandoned island. It has this real cool radio mechanic,
Right. Okay.
and that's sort of what is your um, that would be the real mechanic, is this
Right.
pocket radio and being able to scan through the various stations,
Mm-hmm.
and
And you
just
like pick up like frequencies that aren't actually like radio stations and stuff.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and it impacts the screen and the environment.
Mm-hmm. How's the story of it?
Story's really cool. It does a lot of looping
Okay.
back, like you might play a scene over 3 or 4 times,
Oh, okay.
but the scene will change every single time.
Cool.
And I think it's the kind of thing that you have to play through multiple times, because
Okay.
I have heard that the game itself changes the next time you go through.
Kind of like a new game plus.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to getting through that. I think that'll be my thing to finish.
Right.
But that's what I've been playing this week. JC, what have you been up to?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Diablo 3. So to put on the table, I've never actually really played Diablo before.
What?
Yeah.
Never?
Well, not more than like maybe 3 or 4 hours.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Well, like so, this semi story behind this. I wanted to play the original Diablo whenever it came out.
Mhm.
But the original Diablo required 32 megabytes of RAM, and I only had 16. So, and RAM was really expensive back then.
It
That would have been like
was.
a few $100s just to upgrade the computer to do that, and it might maybe even more because like I'm assuming what we had probably like capped out the RAM like SIM slots or DIM
Yeah.
slots. So I I never had actually access to it whenever it was like new. I never really went back to it. And looking at the game and based off of what my friends had said and stuff like that, I probably would have enjoyed it, but I just preferred the style of like Baldur's Gate and stuff like that.
That's fair.
Especially with like the combat's a lot different and stuff. People who played both, like they're both very enjoyable. And I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying Diablo 3 actually, because it's kind of like my first like actual experience of like sitting down and being like, okay, I'm playing this game. We're only like level 15ish or something like that, like
Okay.
maybe 2/3 of the way through Act 1. I like the mechanics of the combat. We're playing on a Switch, and that's the reason why we decided to play the game. I bought it for my one friend for Christmas, and that's what we're playing through. So I'm a necromancer,
Nice.
and I like it because it's got like a lot of like AOE damage and long range damage. Because of the spikes that come up from the ground, it's kind of
Yep.
AOE ish. And the ads are really cool. And
Yeah, I love the minions.
yeah, so I have like skeleton archers and skeleton barbarians or something that can just attack at a higher attack speed. So that's pretty cool. And then there's a paladin in the whatever the class
Crusader.
crusader. Sure, it's a paladin. In the party, and the wizard class. So that's our party of 3 people. And we're all playing
Nice.
locally on the same console. It kind of plays like Gauntlet Legends, if you ever played that
Okay.
game. Combat wise, in my opinion. Um, at a very like high level, Gauntlet Legends definitely plays a lot differently, but just how it's like running around a lot and killing a lot of mobs. That's kind of how I'm comparing it to.
Yeah.
I could make better comparisons, but that's how I feel because we're all on the same screen and we can't really on the Switch. You can't go. It doesn't split screen, so it doesn't allow you to go off onto a different area.
Oh, okay.
So like if you have like 2 characters over here and then one person stands just in the middle of the screen and these 2 characters walk over, you actually teleport and the screen will like reset if
Oh,
you're all playing on
geez.
the same TV.
Okay.
So because we only have one cartridge copy of it,
Yeah.
and I think everybody who plays on a Switch needs their own cartridge. So
As far as I know, yes.
yeah. So yeah, it's still pretty cool though. I know the inventory system is switched up. It's a lot easier from what I understand. There's not that box inventory system.
No, it's just I mean you have slots
Yeah.
still,
You have like
but
a ton of slots and there's like quick fixes, like ease of life issues basically. Kind of like you can mass repair everything and like mass like salvage everything and stuff like that, or like
yeah.
mass like identify stuff in the one book and stuff. And I guess it's newer features that it's added in over time. I don't know if that's in the PC version, but so we've been playing that. So I'm pretty excited to continue playing that.
Nice.
And
Well, keep me posted because I really want to know how you feel about the game as you go through because it's
yeah,
something that I've enjoyed for the last 8 years, I think, because Diablo 3's been out for quite a long time.
yeah, and it's
So it's neat that you're actually just getting that experience now and having a
yeah,
chance to.
I had a lot of friends who were like playing Diablo 2 back in the day,
Well,
but
yeah, why
at
wouldn't
that
you? That game was
time,
fantastic.
yeah, at that time I was like playing Baldur's Gate 2, so it's just I was playing a different game. The other game, I finished Anthem. In the last episode, I went on an Anthem
You did?
review rant, and
Final thoughts?
final thoughts, 5.5 out of 10 TLDR.
Okay.
My opinion didn't really change that much. So to reiterate, in case you didn't catch the last episode, I played it in a private server through the whole story. With my one friend, he was playing the Colossus, the paladin, the tank basically, and I was playing a storm, which is basically like the wizard, and like it was pretty cool and fun. I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much if I didn't have friends to play with.
Okay. So not a great single player experience.
Probably not.
Okay.
But you can play the game with other people too. But like at that point, because of the early access, like every time we did something that was public, because some of the stuff, like the overworld, you're forced to play in free play. Like there'd be like a level 30 and like a stronghold mission, and then he just like rushed through everything because he only wants the chest. He doesn't want to do anything else. But we were
Yeah.
like in there for a second time trying to enjoy the experience, and like I don't know, that kind of ruined it for us a little bit. But then you get like some people who actually like knew what they were doing and they weren't just like I explained in the last episode, like one of the issues I found was like monsters just spawn beside you and then kind of attack you, and being a storm with low armor, like sure get good, but like it can be a little bit of a problem, especially if there's turrets, because the turrets can basically deal a lot of damage to you.
Okay.
And we found that if people were rushing through it and you didn't necessarily know where you're going because it's like your first or your like second time going through it, um, then you might not necessarily know where to go to avoid all the turrets. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to go through with you, and the turrets are just killing you because they do a ton of damage. But yeah, I think it'll get better over time. I don't think it's for me anymore. I got what I wanted out of it. Well, what I want out of it is for BioWare to continue and to eventually make Dragon Age 4. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
because like they're saying they're okay, but like I don't know. EA's
Holding out for Jade Empire 2.
yeah, that'd be really cool. BioWare, if you're listening, the one guy who still like works there that worked on Jade
Yeah,
Empire
I
is
know,
like,
right?
oh man, that'd be awesome, but none of us work there anymore. But yeah, so yeah, it was overall an okay experience. Yeah, and I had a surprise release because I just kind of didn't hear about this. I just must not have been paying attention. But I really like a strategy RTS, which is World War II game called Sudden Strike 4.
Sudden Strike 4.
Yeah, so they have a core game, which is the European theater, and then they have a bunch of DLC, and they just released, like in the last week of last month, the Pacific War. And there's an American campaign and a Pacific campaign,
Okay.
and this is really cool because like in the game you can play it in two different ways. You can play it real time or you can pause it. I'm a person who likes to pause and then like manage each individual infantry and stuff like that, and then like move them into certain positions to basically do more tactics and stuff like that.
Okay.
But you can definitely play it in real time, and this game adds in a totally like it adds in Japan, which weren't in the other ones. It adds in a bunch of Pacific theater style units, and the really cool thing about it is that there's naval combat in this one.
Oh, neat.
There's, from what I can tell, I've only have one mission left in the American theater, and I haven't played the Japanese one. But I like looked up the actual. You can see which like wars you play. And it looks like there's one naval battle in each of the two of them, and you get to
Okay.
control an aircraft carrier, a cruiser, and a destroyer, and then the planes on the aircraft carrier and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
In the one mission, you're like controlling the USS Enterprise, which is an aircraft carrier, and you have to take out another Japanese aircraft carrier. And that's the objective of the mission, and it's pretty cool because you get like the control like your torpedoes and stuff like that, and then they project out and then they go out and stuff like that, and they can kind of like try and deke them and go
Interesting.
past it and stuff like that. It's really neat. The mission was a little bit harder than I was expecting. I play the game on normal. There's only easy and normal, and then there's a challenge.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, if you get 3 stars on normal, then you can replay the thing with a challenge, and it might be like you get no anti-tank troops or something like that, or you get like limited ammo. It really depends on what the scenario is. But yeah, it's a decent RTS that's World War II based, and the explicit difference between this style and like a core RTS is you don't build your units. You start off with a certain amount of units, kind of like some of those Warcraft 1 and 2 and 3 levels. You might get reinforcements at certain checkpoints, but that's what you have to actually complete the mission.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So
So
it is quite different from.
yeah, it's totally different than your traditional RTS like StarCraft or something like that. But it's I think it's pretty tactical.
Okay.
So it's pretty neat, and the graphics are very nice.
Something to check out if that's
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
into.
those are the
Yeah.
games that I've been playing over the last week. We're gonna be talking about some news. Um,
Yeah, there's a couple of big things that happened, and even someone who was disconnected for a week came back to, oh my God, I got an email. Did you see this, JC? Because out of nowhere, I got an email from GOG that they were releasing Diablo 1.
yeah, and that's quite a surprise because they
Yeah.
released earlier that they have a surprise coming Thursday. And I was like, ooh, that's cool. Because every now and then they just like release surprises like that. And then I got the email too, and the notification from you, like as I'm like looking at it, I'm like, yep, I heard. And yeah, and it's kind of coincidental because like I'm playing Diablo 3 for the
Yeah,
first
exactly.
time. And if I'm like, I've thought like if I enjoy Diablo 3 enough, I'm going to go back and play the original, I think. So,
I love the original. I played a ton of it when I was much younger.
mm-hmm.
To me, I mean, it's not something that I've played probably in the last like 10 to 12 years.
Right.
But I remember being young and it being quite creepy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the further down you get, the creepier things get. There was some actual like, you know, kind of freaky moments with people like the butcher and some of the goat men when you get further down into the catacombs.
Right.
Yeah, it was very enjoyable. And I mean, they've carried on characters and elements to all of the other games,
Mm-hmm.
especially the location of Tristram has made it into every other Diablo game. So
Yeah,
I
I've
feel
noticed in
like,
Diablo 3 they keep on talking about like Old Tristram, which I'm assuming is the city from the first game, and I have
yep.
like no context to what they're talking about. So I'm like, hey guys, can you explain this to me?
But like there
They're
is
nice
a
enough to explain it for what they remember,
they
but
do have a broken down version of Tristram
yeah.
in Diablo
Yeah,
3,
we
which
went
you go
there
through.
in the first act actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of neat that it's something that they keep bringing back in, and
Mm-hmm.
I think for you going back and playing it, you'll be able to see and notice like, oh, this is this thing and this
Yeah.
is this thing.
So I installed it and played it for maybe about 15 minutes just to see like how good the upscaling and stuff like that was.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I think it's actually pretty good. It still looks like a game that's from the 1990s, mid 1990s, and there's two modes in it. There's like the classic mode, which basically like it doesn't have like a filter over it basically to make
Okay.
the graphics as smooth. For what I understand, I didn't load into that, but apparently that's still compatible with Blizzard Net, and there's the Windows 10 compatible version, and it's programmed to run at like 60 frames instead of apparently like the original like 20ish frames. And I didn't like moving around the original town and stuff like that. I didn't like notice much like hiccups or slow down or like speed up and stuff like that with it, because sometimes you get
Okay.
that kind of issue with some of the older games and like
Yeah.
DOSBox and stuff like that. But the game, like I have 1080p monitors that run at 144. The game's not running at 144, but like it looked great. It still looked old, like I mentioned, but it still played okay. The interface is definitely archaic. So for anybody who hasn't played old games, they might have a hard time, because like I was like hammering away at the keyboard trying to figure out what the commands are, and like C opens up your character sheet, and then like you'd think escape would close that, but escape brings you up to the menu, and then you have to hit C to close the character sheet again. Like
Yeah.
it's a little bit non-intuitive, but it's intuitive for that era. So I just had to remember that's how things used to work. But
Yeah. What
yeah,
class did you pick?
sorcerer or wizard. Yeah, yeah,
Fair enough, fair
yeah.
enough.
I found it kind of funny because it's like either there's three classes in it,
Mhm.
and whenever I looked up to be like what class in Diablo 3, like the references on the Wikipedia page were like, oh, it's a combination between this class and this class from Diablo 2. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it's like, oh, it's actually like a derivative of this class from Diablo 1. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go to Diablo 1, read all the classes, go to Diablo
All three
2,
classes.
and then, well, there's like a monk as well that was in Hellfire.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but
They did add in a fourth class.
the one thing to note, just so people are clear, this re-release with the collaboration between GOG and Blizzard is the core game, not the Sierra Hellfire expansion.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they're planning on doing the Hellfire expansion later. Blizzard owns that apparently, from what I found through some limited research, so they might eventually, but
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, so I read through the classes in 1, 2, and 3 to figure out what to play in 3.
But this was kind of this was a neat little thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be cool to see if they actually drop anything else
And
like Warcraft 1 or
just
2.
funny that you mentioned that, because like they actually said more to come. And looking at some of the news sites, they're saying basically it sounds like Warcraft 1 and 2 will be next. Um, I don't see StarCraft being
No, because we
a
just got
game.
the remastered
Yeah,
version of that
it's
last
on
year.
it's on Blizzard.net, and
Yes.
Diablo 1's only available on GOG. It's not
Oh,
available on Blizzard.net.
okay.
So like I'm thinking like that remastered game won't be put on GOG.
Maybe it'll be Lost Vikings. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. I'm like, it's actually a PC port, so like maybe they'll bring that back. It's actually a really fun game. I have it for the Genesis, and it's really cool puzzle platformer. So
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
yeah, so it'd be neat to bring that to a younger generation. They don't really have to change the graphics or anything. They just have to like make it upscale correctly, and then it'd
And we
be a
don't really
playable
have
game.
anything like that too much anymore.
No, not really.
It's kind
Yeah.
of a genre that you don't see as much.
Yeah.
So,
If they added multiplayer with that, that'd be pretty cool too. Like
ooh,
over across the internet instead of like hot seat, local hot seat. But yeah, time will tell, I guess.
yeah, true enough.
Yeah. In second news updates, the ranking positions, the way that the ranking system works in League of Legends is changing.
Yeah, I
So
saw this,
we
but I
thought we
haven't
would.
really had a chance to look into it. I did. I'm guessing it was the day that they put it out. I got a or something like that. I got back to our condo and I
Hmm.
was able to get back into Wi-Fi again, and there was a notification from JC being like they're taking this out, and
Yeah.
I'm like, really, already?
Yeah, so like how did you feel about so for context, what they did was they switched your like solo rank, like being like gold 2 or silver 5 or diamond or whatever, to like one actual rank in order to being like one rank per role. So for top, mid, jungle, bot, and just support.
Yeah,
And so like I don't know, like personally I kind of saw like quite a bit of problems with it. And like I've had some ADCs autofill like being support, and like they literally just like flashed into the minions. Like they were trying to lose because they just didn't care because it
yeah.
just didn't really it hurt them, but it was just negative 3 LP. A dodge was negative 3 LP. So it's like
Yeah.
how is that even like why like the only thing they get to like have fun by trolling people, and it's like it's not a disincentive to
See,
lose.
I saw it quite differently. I liked now for me, I do just play a single role.
Hmm.
I don't tend to branch out very much, but if a champion were to come out in a different role that I was really interested in playing,
Right.
I could experiment a little bit, get familiar with their combo,
Hmm.
and then actually play that a little bit in ranked and not quite suffer. I mean, I can be a like a gold 2 ADC
Hmm.
maybe, um, but like a what a
Bronze jungler or something.
bronze jungler or an iron top lane.
Right.
I won't necessarily get punished for trying out something new
Yeah.
or trying to expand my I guess my champion pool.
Yeah, and I think in theory, like in a perfect world, it makes sense to me, and like I thought that was a good aspect of it too. But yeah, it's just whenever people abuse it, like I've seen, and it
Yeah.
wasn't like maybe it was like 5% of the time I've seen people abuse it, but it still happened. It's
Yeah.
kind of sucked. But yeah, they're getting rid of it, or I guess they have gotten rid of it. Like as of today, actually.
Oh, okay.
So
So
yeah,
it's gone.
it's gone, and yeah, so that's new and exciting, I guess.
Yeah.
It's also Morgan Kale update, and they seem kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would try Morg a little bit since she's a little bit different, but yeah, I don't know. I'd probably stick with Zyra.
Stick with what you know, right?
Yeah, stick with what you know. Stick with what you got the mastery points on.
True.
Flex mastery 7 at people. All right, so our first segment, film adaptation of a game that we actually enjoyed. Do you want to start us off, Ian?
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking, or non, Silent Hill for me.
Okay.
It's not the second one, even though I watched it. It was okay. The first one specifically, it
Mm-hmm.
was, yeah, I thought it was a real competent film. They captured a lot of the elements of the first, at least the first two games,
Right.
and they kind of checked off all the boxes that they needed to.
Okay.
I feel like, and it's like the story was decent. Um, they brought Pyramid Head to life.
Right.
I thought very well. He was kind of terrifying. I mean, as a I guess a horror villain,
Mm-hmm.
he is super creepy as is.
Right.
Even
Yeah.
even in his like um polygonal form, he
Yeah.
still manages to be creepy and to actually bring it to life.
Mm-hmm. Most of
I
the moments where he shows up are very tense too. It's
Yeah,
like
I thought they did a great job with stuff like that. It has one of the best death scenes I've seen in a movie,
right.
where he like flays a girl and like throws her skin on the door of a church. Like it's
Wow.
it's gory, it's fun.
Is it
Um,
like so bad it's good type movie or like actually like
I actually think it's good.
okay, cool.
I actually think it's a decent movie, and I have watched it fairly recently.
hmm I've
Um,
actually never seen the Silent Hill movie, either of them. So
but you have played the games though, right?
I played the first or second one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't recall which one it
We're
was.
gonna have to fix this problem. But for me, probably I know we don't have huge lists because the list of video game movies,
That are good.
yeah,
Is kind of
it's very
are
very
short,
small.
but yeah. So,
But yes, I for a movie that I think is actually good
hmm
based on a video game, Silent Hill.
awesome.
JC?
Uh, I like the original, like the first Resident Evil movie. I don't mind. I haven't seen the newest one, but like I don't mind.
Or the what about the six in between those two?
I never
I don't know
minded
if
them.
it's six or not.
Yeah, I have no idea how many there are.
It might be. I think it's
I think
seven.
I
I
thought
think
it
there's
was
seven of them.
five. Maybe I've seen five and there's six of them.
There's way too many.
Maybe, but I liked the first one. I thought it was really cool. I
You know
thought
what?
it
I'm
had
with
an
you, man.
actually competent story for what it was.
Yeah,
I liked the action scenes in it. The portrayal of the zombies was like spot on video gamey. It
yeah.
felt like something that made sense for the Resident Evil world, which is doesn't make really make sense to begin with in some cases. It's like you're jumping through like laser grid hoops and stuff like that.
But
It's
there
like,
there is
but
lots of nods
yeah,
to the
to the game,
games.
which is really really cool.
Yeah,
And like when that movie came out, like a lot of Resident Evil games were like being either like re-released on the GameCube
that's true.
or
Yeah,
the Dream and being released on like a lot of consoles at that point because you had like the Code Veronica on the Dreamcast. I guess it came out with the PlayStation 2 later, but and then you had like Resident Evil 4, which I think came out after the movie, but
yeah. It was
like
definitely after the
still like it
movie.
was an era where like Resident Evil was probably like at a peak of like its like
It
popularity.
was much more relevant. I mean, not that it isn't relevant now,
Yeah,
because
it's
we've had a
become
lot
relevant
of.
again, I think, but
It definitely
especially
had some off years.
yeah, and yeah, I really liked it. I don't. I think they chose the right person to act the main character. And like the acting wasn't the greatest or anything like that,
No,
but yeah, just good action. Plausible world for like parallel to the actual video game world. And uh, just a good popcorn flick movie. I'll rewatch the first one, and I don't know about maybe the third or fourth one and so on. I don't remember them as well,
I
but
I feel like I remember the second one being okay as well. I
yeah.
haven't watched the second one
See,
in a
for me,
lot of years, but
like if the first one's here, and then the second one's here, and the third one's here, and the fourth one's here, and it just kind of starts getting a little worse. Maybe one of them goes up a little bit. Maybe I
I
should
don't
have
think
a
they go up at all.
well, I'm like maybe like 0.1%. I don't know, but yeah, I like the Resident Evil movie, the original. Yeah.
Fair enough, man.
Your movie number two?
So my movie number two, I don't like it because it's a good movie,
Okay.
but it's a lot of fun.
But the name of it's
It
the name of the segment, Ian. No,
okay.
go ahead.
Well, no, it's a film adaptation of a game that I actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I don't enjoy it because it's a good movie. I enjoy it because it's a train wreck, and that's Street
Yeah.
Fighter.
I was surprised whenever you put this on this list because I'm like, really? But then you started explaining why, and I was like, I became more interested in this film.
So
So go ahead.
you've got Steven D'Souza,
Mm-hmm.
who was asked to write a treatment for it, but said he would only do it if he could direct,
Right.
which is fine. A lot of people do that, but then every time he turned in, so they liked his original treatment, but every time he turned in a script, he would get it back from Capcom, being like, "Hey, can you give like this character a little bit more screen time because they're really big in Japan? Also, any chance you could add in this character? Because originally he wanted to keep it down to about seven characters from the original roster,
Mm-hmm.
or not the original roster, but the roster at the time, and I think
Yeah,
they were
the new
around
challengers.
19
Yeah.
at that point.
Okay.
So he wanted to keep it like because it you I think it's only like 100 or so minutes long. Like it's not crazy long,
Yeah, it's
and
like an hour and a half.
to have to have 19 characters have an impact in that amount of time, that's just so hard.
Mortal Kombat did
I
it.
but he just kept getting like revisions and revisions and revisions. You had Jean-Claude Van Damme at his like at the peak of his career and probably the peak of his like coked outness. I think I read he was like putting like $10,000 a week up his nose.
Yeah, which that's a lot of coke. Like,
That's amazing.
I'm surprised he survived.
He was horrible to work with. You had, unfortunately, Raul Julia, who was like, it was like just before he died.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like,
He played M. Bison.
he was M. Bison. But when they got him on set, he was like super skinny because he was going through treatments and stuff. So they had to like push stuff back so he could gain some weight. They only had like 10 weeks to shoot. Budget wise, between Van Damme and Raul Julia, they spent like most of their money.
Right.
So they couldn't hire new people. Like they had to hire new people
Yeah.
for the other roles, but they didn't have the money to bring them in early to do all their fight training.
Right. They didn't really have the advantage of like what Mortal Kombat had. It was like people were behind masks, so like they could have used just like
yeah, like a lot
the
of body doubles and stuff.
the stunt men as the actual actors for a
Like
lot of it.
there's a fight scene between Ryu and Vega with a sword, which Ryu had no training on whatsoever.
Right.
And like I've read, there's an amazing article in the Guardian
Mm-hmm.
about the making of this
Yeah,
train wreck.
definitely look it up.
Absolutely, it's I would read it and then watch the movie, and it'll give you a brand new appreciation of the film because
Yeah.
it's just like the fact that they made anything, and they made money.
Right.
They had like a $30 million budget, and I think it made like 105.
Yeah, like it's interesting because it's like
It's a
that
train wreck,
movie
but
is
it's a
not
success.
really well received. It's like a 4 out of 10, like around there on IMDb. Like none of that really means anything, but it's like yeah, I haven't seen
At
that
the
movie since I
time,
was a
really,
kid.
the only other like video game movie was Super Mario Brothers, which was
Terrible.
yeah. So I mean,
This
this
was a
was
Double
at
Dragon
least
movie too.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
But there wasn't a
which was
lot.
also terrible.
We didn't get a whole lot. But anyways, I'm gonna stop talking about this because I could go on about it all day. Street Fighter, the movie. Read the article, or just know that JCVD was super coked out, and then watch it, and it'll give you a brand new appreciation.
Things will start to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what else you got, JC?
My second movie is the Tomb Raider movie, the new one from 2018.
Okay.
Not the Angelina Jolie one, which was like an okay movie, but like I didn't super enjoy the movie. But
Yeah.
the new movie I actually enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so I really like Tomb Raider the series. It's a pretty cool like action puzzle game, but the new Square Enix revision of it, this kind of follows that game's story basically. So
Okay,
it's
yeah.
not like a direct comparison between the first one and this movie of the new series, but like there is definitely scenes where it's like, oh, like that's like from this part of the game and that's from this
Yeah.
part of the game, but like it kind of like was a link to it but its own separate entity. I know that kind of pissed some people off because like you're just like stealing from it, but it's like it's a freaking it's like a superhero movie. It's a video game movie.
You have
like
to
what are
take
you
elements,
expecting?
right?
Yeah, you have to grab information from somewhere, and I really like the story and the writing of the three new games, or newish
Yeah.
games, and I thought it was a competent portrayal of that new franchise. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I'm pretty sure we went to the theater to see this, and I don't feel like my money was wasted. It was a pretty good popcorn flip. Um, uh, and it's definitely worth a watch. Like if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it and you do like action movies, or and even if you don't really know anything about Tomb Raider, I think it's still worth watching.
Yeah, it kind of stands alone because I've seen it as well, and
Yeah.
it does stand alone as a decent movie, even if you
Mm-hmm.
don't really know the character, because
Yeah,
it does introduce Lara, and it kind of gives you an idea of who she
which is
is.
something like I don't really think I could say as much for Resident Evil, because like if you have no real like connection with a series or know anything about it, then you might think it's a good movie because you like those types of movies, but like unless you play the game series, it's probably not much of an investment. But for this, like
I mean, you still won't have
yeah,
if you played the game series, you still won't know who Alice is.
that's true too. But yeah. So yeah, the 2018 Tomb Raider is the second movie that I enjoyed. That's a video game adaptation.
And that brings to the end of our list.
Yeah, couldn't really think of very many films. Like I guess like the Mortal Kombat movies, good in a bad way.
I mean, Mortal Kombat's fun,
Yeah, it's got a
but
really great song.
we kind of wanted to hit things that we like really dug and just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah. So let us know if you have any favorite
yeah. What do you guys enjoy? Give
movies.
us reasons too. If it's something horrible, if you like the House of the Dead movie, let me know why.
Yeah,
I want to know.
yeah, or the Doom movie. I don't know.
The Doom movie was okay for the first person scene. That was fun. Like that sequence where it cuts into first person mode.
That's actually the only part of the movie that I've
That was a lot of
seen.
fun, and I did enjoy that.
Yeah, yeah. My friend saw the Doom movie and he thought it was a good laugh and he enjoyed it and he's like,
Yeah.
"You got to see this one scene," because I'm like, "No, man, I'm not gonna bother. They don't deserve my $12. Like, I'm not gonna go see this." But yeah. So yeah. So our second segment, game adaptations of films that were better as a that we game adaptations of a film that was better than the movie
In our opinion.
in our opinion. So, do you want me to start off with this one?
Yeah, man. What do you think? Give me your number one
Uh,
in no particular order.
so I'm gonna start off with Street Fighter the movie. It was kind of funny because, like, I don't know, like I
Was
didn't
that
know,
just a troll pick or?
kinda,
All right.
but I played the Sega Saturn version. It's not that great of a game, but I didn't know much about all this background on the history of the movie before you told me. So I was just like laughing at your pick, if you recall. And then I was like, I'm putting this down. And yeah, like it's cool because if I had to choose one thing, it has a character that's never been reused.
Which character?
Um, Sawaga or Sagata or
Oh,
yeah,
okay. So interesting
Sawada.
story about
Yeah,
that character. Um,
I
the
think it's Sawada.
I think you're right. I'm pretty sure I think it's Sawaga.
Sawaga, maybe. Yeah, I'll look it up right now. You tell the
So
story.
the execs from Capcom had a specific Japanese actor that they wanted to use to play as Ryu, but the director had already cast Ryu
Right.
as an American. Well, like a
It's Sawada,
Sawada.
the Captain Sawada, played
They
by Kenya Sawada.
Yes, yeah, that's they made so. Anyways, they had already cast a Chinese American, a young Chinese American actor to play Ryu. And then when the Capcom execs were like, no, 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 we want this guy to be Ryu, the director was like, well, I already cast the part. This guy doesn't like he speaks very little English, so
Right.
he's gonna have a hard time with the script. So they came up with this compromise of creating this new character
Yeah.
so they could put this actor in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
which it's literally his last name. Like
Yeah.
he's basically himself. And yeah, so he's in a fighting game now. He's an actual character in Street Fighter thanks to compromise.
Yeah. So I found it hard to find games to put on this list, but like I find that like what they did was they took a train wreck and they made it a little bit less of a train wreck. So that's why it's on this list, really.
Okay, all right.
Like it definitely has really bad problems with reading your button inputs at higher levels because it just kind of does that, but like more so than normal. But yeah, so I put it on the
I think
list.
you need to go back and watch the movie knowing what you know now.
You know what?
And
I
you'll
just might.
probably gain a new appreciation, and this
Yeah.
your Street Fighter the movie, the game, will be off of your list for sure.
And then I only have one pick. Anyway, your first video game?
uh X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard this before actually. Whenever you mentioned it, or compiling notes, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember like people like assuming the game was bad just because it was a video game
Because the
movie.
movie and the movie was
Yeah, and the
horrible.
movie was horrible, and I seem to recall the first few scenes of the movie being good, and then it just went like it was like, oh, this might be okay. Nope.
Yeah, it nosedives pretty hard, but the game gets like continues being pretty good the whole way
Hmm.
through. You have a lot like you got a progression system.
Right.
The damage that you take actually is reflected on the character model, which I found really interesting because
Especially
not
for the
everything does that.
time. 'Cause
And
that,
then having a character that regenerates as part of his like core abilities,
mhm,
you actually can kind of see the damage like heal.
right.
So there's a lot of interesting things. It was gory. It's an M-rated Wolverine game,
Yeah.
which it was the first time we've got something like that.
Yeah, in a game.
Because a
Yeah.
lot of the
That was
times,
superheroes because like all the Alliance games are like teen, and
yeah,
the old Konami arcade games are teen, and
you don't typically see Wolverine tear a person apart,
mhm,
and that was something that you saw all the time in this.
right.
And that's what the character is supposed to be. He's supposed to be more of an animal, right?
Yeah, or an old man.
Or well, I mean,
Old man Logan.
even still as an old man, he's supposed to be a very aggressive character.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, if you have a chance, I played it on the 360 and really enjoyed it, but it was
Mhm.
out on the
GameCube, the PS2, and the 360, I think.
was it? I thought it was on the PS3.
Was it? Okay.
I thought it was at least on those two. I don't think it was on. There might have been a bad one on the Wii, but
Maybe.
it was definitely on the 360 and the PS3.
Okay.
So if you get a chance, check it out. You can probably find it for super cheap.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was-
so here it says PS3, 360, Windows, Wii, PS2, Nintendo DS, PlayStation Portable.
The ones you want to check out are the main
I thought there
console
was a
versions.
GameCube version.
Well, no,
All right.
they were
Well,
making
there
GameCube
you
stuff
have
at
it.
that time.
We looked it up.
We
That's
did
what the
look it
Chromebook
up.
is for. Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, what's your next pick, JC?
Lego Hobbit, the Hobbit, the like Lord of the Rings Hobbit.
Really, that surprises me because yeah, I know you're a pretty big Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah.
You didn't like the PJ Hobbit trilogy?
No. So
Wow.
I I have multiple problems with the Peter Jackson movie trilogy. It's okay, but I literally like checked out of the theater at a certain point. So I didn't mind the first film. It was pretty cool. There were some choices where they got rid of some stuff that I thought was interesting, but it still didn't bother me. I felt it was a pretty good portrayal. And then the second one just started to go downhill more and more and more, and it just was like catering to an audience that I don't feel it catered to originally in the original Lord of the Rings movies.
Okay.
Or I understand it's like a children's book, a young adult book, but like this is the prime example of like why like I haven't even seen the third one, and the main reason why is because like there's more money. Like you can look it up for how much money this was, but there's like X amount per page, and in The Hobbit, it's insane amount. It's like millions of dollars per page.
Wow.
And the last like chapter is the Battle of Five Armies, which is the last movie, and they have their content in there too, and that's not really what I have a problem with, but it's like they changed a page and a half or like 2.5 pages or something like that into like a 3 hour movie. Like it's sure it's a battle and it's easy to extend, but there's
Yeah.
like a bunch of other stuff that they hadn't done yet and stuff like that. Like the killing of Smaug, but like that's fine. It's just I don't know. Specifically the one part where I checked out to get back to that was in the second film, right near the end, whenever they meet the dragon Smaug, and then there's the conversation between them, and then he's chasing the hobbits. It's like I akin that to, like, you know, that like ball thing. I know it has a name, but I keep on forgetting its name. But like the ball goes through like different like obstacles and stuff like that, and like the music plays. Like that's essentially what I was watching in the movie, and I'm like, I'm done. Like I was just like furious at that point.
Like almost like a long hallway, and with multiple doors, like in Scooby Doo,
Kind of, yeah.
like
In and out, in and
crisscrossing
out.
paths
Yeah,
and
but like so I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother. And like I would expect something funny and quirky from like a Lego game, and I found like the Lego game, like you do like the whole book, and like there's some funny parts in that too, and like there's similar funny scenes and stuff like that, but like it makes sense. Like you play like the Lego, like the Phantom Menace, and like, you know, like, oh, like the Millennium Falcon's like, or I guess the New Hope, and like the Millennium Falcon's broken, we got to fix it, and you got to do like some extra scenes like fix the Millennium Falcon and stuff like
yeah.
that, or like the droids are like breaking apart and like the the prequel trilogies and stuff like that, and like it's funny because it's Lego and it's like meant to be lighthearted, but it's like, and I get that the Hobbit's not like super serious like the Lord of the Rings, but like I felt like it was all in place. The gameplay was just as fun as any of the other
And
Lego
this is one
games.
that's one of their fully voice acted,
Yeah,
isn't it? Because they
and they had the voice actors from the movie too, so it's like, because
so
like,
this was just way more of an enjoyable experience
yeah, it
for
was
you.
more of an enjoyable experience. Like I really like Lego and the Lord of the Rings, and it mixed together. And yeah, my mom bought this for me for Christmas the one year
Aw.
actually. And she's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Lego Hobbit," and she got it for me. And she's like, "Okay, sure. You still want Lego? Okay." And yeah, and I just really enjoyed the experience and the gameplay, just like any other Lego game. If you like Lego games and you haven't played this one, it's definitely a high recommend. It's just as good as any of the others.
There you go. Two games to check out now.
Yeah. And your second game of film adaptations?
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
It
heard good things about this one.
it was fantastic. I mean, okay, going back and playing it now
Hmm.
is a little bit more difficult because we have Spider-Man on the PS4.
But like Spider-Man on the PS4, all the reviews were comparing it to this game.
Yes, because Spider-Man 2 was the Spider-Man experience.
Right.
Up until that point, everything was even though Spider-Man on the PlayStation
Hmm.
was a decent game, or the PS1, I should say. It was a decent game. You know, it gave you elements of the web swinging and the combat, but what it didn't have was that open world.
Right.
And Spider-Man 2 really kind of gave you that. It gave you a reasonable replica of New York City
Yeah.
to swing around in
Hmm.
and explore. You
Hmm.
know, stop random crimes, grab balloons for children.
Fetch
um, lots,
quests.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it did have
But done well.
it had lots of little interesting side elements that you could do.
Hmm.
You know, the story was pretty good. It sort of followed the movie plot, but not exactly.
Okay.
And yeah,
I
you
think
know, it
video
was
game movies like that don't necessarily try to adhere to their actual movie that they're being based off of are better, because it's like
yeah.
if you're being constricted, it's like, well, how do I make this part of the movie a level?
How do I stretch out
Yeah.
an like a at most 2.5 hour movie
Hmm.
into an 8 hour game experience? I
Yeah.
mean, 6 to 8, right? Because you don't want to if you drop like the I'm gonna get a little off base here, but the Wanted game
Okay.
for the 360
Hmm.
was really good.
Hmm.
I would argue better than the movie. Again, I mean, it's
Right.
not on my list, but I would argue it's better than the movie, but it was like 4 hours.
Oh, really?
It
Okay.
was so short. Like you could just blow through it in a session. And for a $60 game, that's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
especially if you're paying full price for it. Because, like, I understand paying, like, maybe $15 or $20 for something like that. It really depends. It's circumstantial for sure. But,
yeah. The nice thing about Spider-Man 2 was it was something you could pop in and just like swing.
Yeah.
You just swing through the city.
It made you feel like Spider-Man.
It really did. And you had to connect your webs to something. You couldn't just like air. It had to be, if you were going through Central Park, you were going to be trying to hit trees
Yeah.
and swing that way, like lower to the ground. You usually wanted to skirt around it
Yeah.
because you just couldn't traverse it. Like I said, it's hard to go back to now because we have Spider-Man 4, or
Yeah.
not Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man on the PS4.
Yeah.
And it is beautiful.
Yeah, I watched my friend play that game for quite a bit. I haven't played it, but it looks like a really great game.
It's beautiful.
It's basically like the Arkham games for Spider-Man
Yeah,
from
pretty
what I've
much.
seen.
And really all they did, like they took a lot of the elements of Spider-Man 2
Yeah, and what made it good.
and brought that into the current generation.
Cool.
If you have an opportunity, go back and check it out. I know it graphically will not stand up whatsoever, but it's still an interesting take on Spider-Man. I thought it was better than the movie. Yeah, that's. I believe that's it for our lists.
Yeah.
Even though we got a little bonus one in there with Wanted, if you can find it for like $5,
Worth the $5.
it's worth the $5.
Nice.
4-hour game, I'd say that's worth $5.
Yeah, $1 an hour. That's better than going to see a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you get like a popcorn drink.
That's almost $60 right there.
Yeah, yeah. So let us know if you have any game adaptations of a film that you really enjoyed.
Yeah, we'd certainly be interested to check them out, and
Sure.
maybe there's something that we didn't think about, or
Yeah.
let us know.
And our third segment is games that we loved as a kid, but not so much now.
What's your first one, JC? I'm
Uh,
really curious about this.
So, back in middle school, high school, we used to play the board game Risk a lot.
Okay.
And
As middle schoolers and high schoolers used to do.
yeah, and like until we got Axis and Allies, then that was our game. But before then, it was Risk, and yeah, we used to play it like every week, like on Saturday.
Wow.
And there's like a
Actually,
group.
yeah, we used my group used to play every Tuesday, I believe.
Cool. Yeah, we would just get together, like 4 or 5 of us, depending on who could show up, and we used to play it all the time. And got the PlayStation version of Risk.
Okay.
And it's pretty cool. It has some nice features. I understand this is a game I don't love as much anymore, but like it had its own like map and Ultimate Risk, which is like a more enhanced map, which had like probably over 200 territories and stuff like
Oh,
that.
wow.
So it was cool. Or you could play the classic Risk and stuff like that, and you could add in computers, and you could also hot seat with like 8 people as well.
Jeez.
So
Okay.
it was kind of cool, and we used to, specifically one of my friends and I used to play it like all the time. We used to get together during the week and just continue to play it. And to its credit, it gave us the one strategy of just like manning up in one, arming up in one territory and just like hammering through somebody who owns a full continent, and then spreading out from there, because we used to never do that before.
Oh,
The
really?
computer used to do that. Yeah, and then we saw the computer do it, specifically my one friend and I, and then we both started doing it. And like
Starting
somebody,
with Australia, right?
well, there's the Australia tactic. We knew about that, but I mean, like, if somebody had all of Europe, like, there wouldn't necessarily just like go out of your way to make sure that that guy didn't keep Europe, for example, because the computer would just do that. The computer
Yeah.
would just be like, "Nope, you have a continent, you can't keep it." So we started to do that a lot more. We only had the Australia strategy, really. So because people would get like North America, and then they would basically win the game if they could keep it for a couple more rounds. Because
Yeah.
it get like 15 units or 5 units per round on it. But yeah, so we used to play it a lot, and just going back on it, like I don't even like Risk anymore. It's okay. We played Mission Risk as a gag like a few years ago, and
Yeah.
we actually, it was the shortest game of Risk we've ever played. We literally won finished the game on turn 2, and it was because one person had eliminate all of one color. I was at color, and I just kamikazed everybody as a joke. And then he was like, "Oh," and then I was beside him, and he finished taking me like my lone units out after just like kamikazing everybody, because I'm like, you guys, like, you can't lose at this game. It's just like you just keep on coming back, and we're all laughing like, yeah, that's true. Nope, not whenever you accidentally wipe yourself out and somebody goes, "Hey, by the way, we just won the game." But yeah, Risk for the PlayStation. Used to play it all the time. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it, probably hundreds of hours, and I don't think I could play it anymore.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah,
That's fair.
and I guess I'll mention my second game. I used to play Donkey Kong Classics. For the Nintendo, it came with Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr.
Okay.
And I like the games. They're fine, but like it just loops in three of the boards and I think four of the boards on Donkey Kong Jr. So it's missing some of the levels. And it looks competent and fine. It's just like I'm not really a person who's really about like that game and trying to get like the high score. The documentary on that movie is really really great. The Donkey Kong movie.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I used to really like it as a kid for some reason. I guess I liked repetitive, doing the same level over and over again a lot more as a kid before, but I'd rather spend my time doing other things than playing that game. So I rarely go back to the original Donkey Kong in any form.
I mean, if I want to mindlessly play something, I've got like 15, 20 minutes and I just want to be able to like kind of, I guess, disconnect my brain a little bit,
Yeah.
but still play something, I will go back to
Yeah.
original Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Jr. Just, they're, it's like you said, they're okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're not amazing.
They're not amazing unless you're like trying to like get to the end board or something like really cool like that. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably would play maybe the arcade version because it has all the boards and it's like authentic to the original experience and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, just the NES version. It was a good port, but I have no interest in playing it again.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah, but what's on your list, Ian?
I could only think of one. There was one that really stood out for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game for the PlayStation 1 called Blast Chamber.
Right. I
Um,
think this is on the Saturn as well.
oh, it might have been,
Yeah, I believe it is.
but we played it on the PS1, and it was you could play up to 8 players. 8 players? No, four.
That's one to
Um,
four.
yeah, it was 1 to 4 because there was the four different colors,
Yeah.
and
PlayStation, Saturn, and apparently on the computer.
it was a three-dimensional, um, like cube,
Mm-hmm.
or
It's
yeah,
kind of like 3D four-walled soccer.
sort of. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have there's a ball,
Mm-hmm.
which you have to place in your colored goal, which adds time to your clock. Or you can take that ball and place it into another player's goal,
Right.
and that will remove time from their clock.
Mm-hmm.
When your time gets to 0, you explode.
Right.
And it's basically the least amount of deaths you can have over the course of like I think a 3 to 5 minute round.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, we used to play that game all the time.
Right.
Like it was just we
I
had
think that would
so
have been
many.
really cool with like the multi-tap. Like I didn't really know about this game, but you mentioned it maybe like a year-ish ago.
Yeah,
And like I was like, "Oh, that game looks actually kind of cool." Like cuz like I had the multi-tap for the PS1 and PS2 and we used to play like Crash Team Racing and stuff like that and a bunch
yeah.
of four-player games on that console. This sounds like a game that we probably would have had fun with.
It's yeah, I thought so too. And then I actually did play it recently.
Mhm.
On my other channel, shameless plug.
That being
Best frenemies with my good friend Freeman.
yeah.
And yeah, we both. I mean, I tried to give it the benefit as best as possible. I went to bat for it as hard as I could.
Mhm.
He had no love
He
for it
did not like
whatsoever.
that game.
No, he hated it. And
He was like, "Why are you making me play this?"
you know what? It felt so bland.
Right.
The experience was just not. It wasn't what I remembered.
Mhm.
The I
Even this nostalgia glasses couldn't have saved it.
No, I mean they could have if I didn't play it. If I just looked at the
Right.
box and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh
I
man,
remember
I
this.
remember having so much fun with this game," but as soon as I popped it in and actually
Yeah.
played it I think we played it for like an hour.
Yeah, it was about
Man, it was a long round. Like it just kept going and going, and we're like, "When will this end?" Yeah. I
Do you think they'd be able to like successfully remake this game with a little bit of quality of life changes and stuff like that into
yeah,
like a
like
modern game?
tighten up the
Because the
control.
idea is cool.
If they could tighten up the controls and then smooth out the graphics, because that's one of the main issues.
Right.
Is it's super blocky.
It was an early PlayStation game too,
It
wasn't
was
it?
an early PlayStation
Like,
game.
let me look. It came out in 1996. So yeah, it's like second year.
Yeah.
94, 95. So it was 2.5 years into its life cycle.
Like it was very blocky. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes like things like the ball can get lost, especially when you get down to your last like I think 10 seconds.
Right.
You set on fire.
Oh, okay.
So you have this like flame trail following you,
Right.
and you can get really confused really easily as to like who's on fire, where's the ball, what's going on,
Right.
who has the ball. Yeah, with some major quality of life changes, I think they could bring it back and make it fun.
Yeah.
But
That'll probably never happen, to be honest.
no,
'cause,
to
like,
go back and play.
It says here the developer was attention to detail, and I don't know who that is. British video game developer based in England, Halton. They
Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis.
cool. Their last game was
from
in 2000
'92.
The last game was in 2002. So like somebody might have bought them. I don't know.
Firebugs for the PlayStation
Yeah.
in 2002.
So
That's or Drome Racers,
yeah.
which was on the GameCube, PS2, and Windows.
Yep.
If you've ever played it, let me know.
Yeah.
I would be curious. But
Oh, these are the guys who made Cybermorph? Interesting. Okay. Because Cybermorph was the big Atari Jaguar, like, selling game, and Battlemorph is its sequel. Yeah. That's actually interesting. It had some interesting tech behind it, but it didn't look that great, and it was dated by the time it came out, so... interesting. So, yeah.
there we go.
Blast Chamber.
Blast Chamber. So,
Not a recommend.
not a recommend. But if you have played it, let me know. Or if you played any of these things, let us
Yeah.
know what you feel about them. Or
Yeah.
if there's something that you used to play all the time when you were younger, and now you just cannot get behind, let us
Yeah,
know.
for sure.
Maybe it's something we love. Maybe
Maybe.
we can go to bat for it.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
And bring some love back to it for you.
For sure, for sure. All right, well, that ends this episode.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Be sure to like and subscribe. That definitely help us out.
Yep.
And our social medias are in the description down below.
If you want to interact with us.
Yeah, and check out news and stuff like that, or just some updates and whatnot.
Yeah.
We'll be on.
Yeah.
On and off.
We're easy to find. We're all right down here.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care.